time for the Tech Aunties podcast. I'm your host, Gina Rosenthal.
And I'm her co-host, Marian Newsom.
Together, we're bringing over 50 years of experience surviving in the tech jungle to the table. Our goal is to shine a light on the voices that deserve to be heard in tech.
Join us as we dive into the ways tech history shapes the future, providing you with the insights needed to grasp the evolving landscape of technology. Are you ready for the tea and about what's really going on in tech?
All right, Tech Aunties are back, and this time we have someone new joining us. Hey there, Marian.
Hi, how are you?
Marian, it is so great to have you here on the podcast with us today. And you're going to be on the podcast for a bit. You're the OG Tech Auntie, and now you're on Tech Aunties. How does that feel?
It feels great to be connected with such a great platform to continue to promote a community of voices that are usually not heard in tech, and also just to get out there and get in front of some of the hype. So I'm really excited about it.
You ready for the hype? Let's go. So, just in case people didn't see your the time you were on Tech Aunties, we probably should reintroduce you. So, Marian, tell us all about yourself.
So I'm Marian Newsom. I won't disclose my age in this format, but let's just say I've been associated with the tech industry from Netcom until now, really focused on being an ethical technologist, really looking at what are the issues of transparency, bias, and how the societal impact that the new technology will have.
That's deep.
The deeper the better. I think I like to be curious. I actually like really discussing complex issues and coming up with solutions and hearing other people's thoughts um, and their thoughts and perspective.
I'm looking forward to you being on Tech Aunties then, because that's what we're all about. So, I'm sure we'll hear more about what you're doing. And you're also in Texas. You're a Texan, actually. So,
Yes, I am. I was born in Texas, but raised a military brat. So raised by very different, diverse cultural. And then you add my own personal personality as the OP. So I'm liable to say anything. So the tea will be hot and maybe censored at times.
oh my, we're going into that. Okay, so we're starting off just planning to be censored. All right. I like it. I dig it. Do
Are
you
you
think we should
sure?
reintroduce me?
Let's tell everyone all about you. You
Okay.
spill the tea on you.
Me, no, nobody wants that. But my my name is Gina Rosenthal. I am the founder and CEO of Digital Sunshine Solutions. We are a fractional product marketing agency. So we help companies do all the things that fall through the cracks that are critical for communications, for talking about a product, for launching, for doing messaging, all the rest of it. And I've been doing that for almost 5 years, and it's pretty cool. I like it. Harder than I thought it was gonna be, Marian.
Yeah, but you're one of the female founders that's out there in the industry, really taking that experience that you've gained from corporate America and really putting it into practice and really being part of the solution.
I hope so, but yeah, it's that's the thing I think I like about it the most is sometimes, when you're working at a big organization, you get buried in the bureaucracy and the hierarchy and everything else. So it's really hard to use your talents and use what you've learned and your experiences and kind of benefit from the mistakes you've made. But when you're working on your own, you can do all of that, and it's fun just focusing on the product marketing um, discipline, which is getting pretty popular all of a sudden, which is I find interesting. So,
Yeah, I noticed it's a hot trend. You see companies running classes,
mhm.
recruit marketers. And so as we start to go into this new landscape in tech, uh, what do you think are those the continuation skills that will still be needed that cannot be done by robots or chatbots or things
Mhm.
like
I think anything that requires a human. So, being honest, I think that organizations are going to try to save money because honestly, if they could get us to work for free, they would, if that was, still an option.
True.
So, and, it's not good, especially in a lot of the work that we do that's digitized. You have to be very creative, you have to be very analytical, all the things you were saying before, and there's no way a GPT can fix that. The other thing a GPT can't fix is just the conflict between organizations and the, the bad management, bad behavior of, getting in, take my discipline, you get in the middle of a launch and someone decides, no, we're going to rename this piece of it has to be renamed. This is where the industry's going. Doesn't matter that people have spent, you know, invested time in researching and talking to customers and prospects and analysts. No, we're going to change it, which means the name and all the code has to change. The name and all of that work, validating what you did call it has to be redone. Lots and lots of work. So nobody's going to change that. And lots of times it's not as simple as just doing a quick find and replace. It's just not. But it has, sometimes that's how personality, but
Mhm.
I think the big personalities that aren't connected to how the product is built and marketed and sold and how it's used by customers, they're not really connected to that. And they want it done a certain way and it just doesn't make sense. And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear the reasons why. So that's never gonna be solved. Maybe we should replace all the bosses with ChatGPT, and that would work. Then everybody could just get their work done. I don't know. What do you think's gonna happen? What do
Yeah,
you think's
so
gonna
placing the bosses, I think for me, really looking at the transparency, not only in how the language models are built, but also the transparency and the bias. And so maybe it's not such a bad idea to replace middle managers with robots or bots because you really can take out some of the bias if it's done correctly. But I do agree that there are some things that will not be replaced by AI. I think the productivity piece
Mhm.
uh, and the profitability for the corporation, those things, yeah, those can be managed. But I don't think AI has the creativity or the innovation that just we as humans have to be able to solve the problems as we walk through our journey.
Well,
We
the
can
one
totally
No, go ahead,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. We're
Yeah,
gonna have to get used to each other's pauses.
we can feed that information to the AI, and it can make logical pieces of Uh, hey, I had an issue getting on the bus this morning. It can walk through and help fix that process. But us as a human who has to actually do that journey and how we innovate that, how we scale that, I do think that that's something that AI won't replace.
Yeah, it's the human element, and when you think about it, um, all of our all of our experiences are different because each one of us is unique. So
Hmm.
in order to get society to a place where this would really work, we'd all have to be the same. And I don't know if I want to be in the world where that's the case, where everybody is the same. I don't want that. I want to be able to find ways to make when it's harder for people to get on the bus or sit on the bus for, whatever reasons that they have. I want that to make that better for them, but I don't want them to have to be a different person in order to take advantage of it. And without having like product research and people thinking through whatever the adverse effects could be. I don't know if you were ever in the room when we were naming stuff, and this was a while ago, but I had to teach everybody what Urban Dictionary was because they would name something. I was like, what's the acronym for that? Because in tech, everything's going to be an acronym. And then it'd be like, oh, we can't call it no. And so I had to teach everybody to look things up in the Urban Dictionary, and those kind of things aren't going to change. I don't know. Maybe you could train a model to look at Urban Dictionary before it used a certain phrase. It was, I don't know.
Well, but the Urban Dictionary changes so fast, right?
Yes.
And it's created by people. And some of the Urban Dictionary is not, um, you know, integrated into all parts of society
Yeah.
or all different cultures or groups.
Yeah.
Uh, and so you would still have that disconnect and even international differences, right? And so
Mhm.
those political minefields. I can't have a Hebrew keyboard in certain countries, and so
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think AI ever replace that part of it because humans actually do. We evolve. Um, we're continuously changing. Our world around us is changing, and so even that Urban Dictionary, which I love, by the way, I could write several new pieces in there. Uh, will continue to evolve, and so the model would have to evolve.
Yes, and I think, like, do we really want to spend the time training and cleaning the data and doing all the things that have to happen for a model to be trained so that a bot can be put in front of it to interact with it, to do something like that? Or, what are the things societally that will benefit society from instead of making us all a very homogenous human race? So, like,
Mhm.
what should we spend that time on to make things um, better for all humans, but not to bring humans all down to one, level? I don't even know if that question makes sense. It does in my head. But
So I get it. So I think my focus for the second half of my career really is around just what you said. How do we make that tech good? How do we make tech good? How do we make it unbiased? Because the people programming, they are biased. And so how do we actually make sure that we're not overlooking segments of the population or segments of different diverse thought, ideas, even communication styles? I mean, um, that's really the challenge is how do we actually use that tech for good instead of all the hype about, oh yeah, you'll be able to um, get your taxes done in 2 minutes. That's not the most pressing thing I face every day. Uh, and so while I enjoy that and I love the sound of that, uh, what are those data privacy concerns about my data? I'm going to give you all my information for that tax form. What's going to happen to that? So all of these things that we really need to kind of really deep dive on and understand the impact to us as individuals that AI will be doing for.
yeah, I am. So I thought I was being clever, and I got so many ads from HEB because HEB has some good marketing.
Yes, they do.
Well, their credit card. So I was like, shoot, I'm just gonna get it because then I'll put all my groceries on the HEB card. I'll get all them sweet points, and they're gonna give me $50 for my next grocery bill. I love this. I'm gonna do it. So I go to do it, and it wanted more information. So I went to a third party, not the bank, but a third party that's kind of, I think, doing because this basically gives HEB a buyer's advantage type of club, right? So it went to this other company. They wanted my driver's license, and I'm like, all right, fine. I'll get, that's typical for a credit card, so I'm cool with it. But then they wanted me to take a picture of myself shaking my head, which means it was either a video or it's more than one picture. I'm like,
Mhm.
why? So I get on the chat with the company and I'm like, what happens to my data? What do you, oh, we follow all the rules. I'm like, but what does that mean? What rules are you following? Couldn't tell me, went to find more and more. And getting more and more aggravated, the person was. But I was like, HEB, what are you going to do with this data? And you think about grocery for them, for them to have your credit card, a branded credit card, so much data there about what you do, when you do it, what times of the month you do it, like all the different things about you. Why isn't Gina buying wine anymore? Why isn't she buying ice cream anymore? Like all of these things, right? So, so that made me have pause, but then it was the biometrics data. Like, you're gonna get all of that data, and I'm kind of begrudgingly giving it to you because I want the points because I buy groceries and they're getting expensive. So I think that's kind of an education that's missing too. Because, of course, I kind of know that I feel like it's a lost cause sometimes. Maybe you can talk me out of this idea that it's a lost cause, and I'm gonna need it doesn't matter, they're gonna get all my data anyways because they get it from my other credit cards. I don't use cash all the time. So, what but, like, why did they want my biometrics data is what I couldn't understand. And they're like, "We wanna make sure it's you and not somebody else opening it in your name," which I get, but I thought about it for a couple of things. Number one, it's my biometrics, and number two, they didn't. I ended up looking at their terms of service. I found some of it someplace. They don't delete that data unless you tell them to. So they kind of own that data from you making the application, even if you get declined. Which means they're doing all this advertising and outreach to everybody, even people that probably can't get the card, but then they in perpetuity, how do you say that word? In perpetuity, that's the word.
True.
So in perpetuity, they've got everybody's data. And if they make you give them the biometric data, they've also got your biometric data. And what are they going to do with it? What's happening? And
Right.
you're the expert now. So, like, yeah, what's
Okay.
happening? I
Yeah,
think you
so
are.
I think it's reasonable for you to ask me to identify myself at a point in time, and that's the only thing that my
Yeah.
biometric data, uh, my image should be actually used for. But I would be very interested to know, are you sharing that data? Is that being put in a language model somewhere, used to train on faces, features, um, and even like you said, when you fill out a credit card, that's your income data. So how are you associating the different pieces of data that you
Yeah.
have on um, to the things that you're doing in house, the things you're doing with your third parties, and the data that you might actually be selling or sharing with other industries about me. And so all I wanted was a $50 free credit for groceries, and I
It
end
worked.
up being um, pieces of me, my digital identity, is being used in all type of things to
Yeah.
study uh, by recognition of facial data, income data. And I definitely don't want you having my buying habits where you can equate. Um, I wouldn't want my health care company, you know, to have my grocery habits, right? So when I go next time I go to the hospital to check in, and they say, okay, fine, this is your weight, this is your height. And then my health company also has this companion data that said, yeah, but you buy tubs of ice cream all the time. You need to be in a weight management class, right? And so, although that's an extreme
I don't
use
know
case,
that it is. I don't know that it, because think about it. What if you get your prescriptions at HEB?
that's
Then your
true.
insurance does have that data.
Right. So now,
Or potentially you would think they would keep it walled off. I don't know if they do or not.
well, so with HIPAA, they should, right? But how many HIPAA compliance violations have we heard of in the last
Yeah.
5 years?
Well, I'll give you this example because I get my prescriptions at Walmart, and Walmart's one of the companies that made a statement, made one of the statements about the um, semaglutide drugs because they're able to see from their customers that have started using those drugs, they've got like a percentage drop off of buying junk food and alcohol.
Hmm.
And they I'll have to find this article again, but they must have shared that with like the Frito-Lays of the world and the PepsiCos of the world because they now have a number of what their profits are going to fall off based on people who go on semaglutide and start losing the weight and losing the desire to eat junk food and start really taking care of themselves. So they're now putting pressure on the insurance companies, like, don't pay for it because it's going to kill our profits. So that
Right.
data is being shared.
It is. And so,
It's messed
but
up.
when you But you took the time to read the term of services, and how are they using your data? Not everyone does that. If you sat there and you read that, even just when it pops up on the screen when you're doing something on your phone or tablet, it just looks like it's forever, ever list of words. And then to be able to read that, understand it, and comprehend what is actually happening with my personal data. How's it being used? How's it being shared? Um, It's something I do agree with you. There needs to be an education and an awareness raised about these things.
Well, maybe that's what a really good GPT could do. Tell me what they're going to do with my personal data. So you don't have to read through the legalese of everything and it would spit out, they're going to sell it here, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. And then you would know. You should write that, Marion. That would be amazing.
It would be.
I think you should do it. That would be good. I would use it every time. Great. I'm just saying. Well, that's kind of like just to wrap it up because I think these are topics we agree violently on. And I think it's so cool that that's going to be your focus and you're going to go and help companies with that, right?
I am, and so I will bring to the table all my years, like I said, from compliance and auditing and product marketing and finance and all those things to really help companies really implement and drive and plan that vision for their AI strategy going forward.
I think it's going to be
So I'm very
awesome.
looking forward to it.
I'm excited for it too. I think it's going to be cool. I can't wait
Yeah,
to hear your stories.
yeah. You may even let me come over to Digital Sunshine Solutions every now and
Maybe. No, definitely. I think we'll
then.
have to introduce you to Stephen Foskett too and get you on Tech Field Day. That would be great. Should go on
I did
Security
it a
Field Day.
long time ago, thanks to you.
Well, me
Uh,
intro again. Let's go.
so be it. It's a
It's
reboot.
it's the reboot. 2024 is the year of the reboot. Maybe that's why there's an eclipse because there's a rebooting everything. I think that's what
Maybe
it is. But like,
what's
yeah, that's kind of why we wanted to get together and continue Tech Aunties. And one of the big things, because I remember when we first started working together, and you were really quiet and you didn't talk a lot, and then you started helping me with social media, and you like got it better than I did, and I'm like, wait a minute. You're more technical than me. What the hell's going on here? And so I think that's part of what I'm interested in. And I know you are too, because we've discussed it with Tech Aunties, is having our guests on that might not normally have been heard before. So you've got the people that are just kind of doing their job and stuck in the hierarchy. Some of them are brilliant, like you are. And some of them they know all the tea about the products. They know how things are working, and nobody bothers to listen to them when we try to tell them. So that's that's who I'm interested in talking to in the next little bit. How about you?
I agree. I think there are a lot of people who are like me in a lot of ways. So I'm looking forward to talking to them. I'm a person who's reserved in my professional life, but please don't talk to my personal friends or family. I different. I present a different version of my communication styles at work. So I'd be interested in hearing who else adapts their communication due to either they feel that they're not heard, of potential biases in the workplace, or just even uh,
Mhm.
gender differences in the way men and women communicate, especially in tech, and hearing those voices. So I'm looking forward to talking to people like me, but I'm more excited about hearing about the other side, the more diverse side,
Yeah.
um, and hearing those voices too. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited to join it, and I look forward to having those kind of guests that will not only stimulate our audience, who will actually inform and educate our audience on all things tech, but also really tackling some of those human issues within tech. And
Yeah.
I think you have done a great job. You especially have done a great job in seasons 1 and 2 of the Tech Annie. So I'm very
Thank you.
looking forward to it.
It's gonna be great. We're gonna keep it going. Well, probably should talk about real quick about the reboot that we're doing. So we've got a new logo. We are on LinkedIn now. We're gonna have a new platform that we're broadcasting from, which is great. We've got a YouTube channel. So that's going to be good. But the biggest thing is we're going to be part of the Capitol House, the Capitol Factories at the Capitol Factory for South by Southwest starting on Friday. We're going from Friday until the next Tuesday. And of course, I didn't write the dates down. I'm a nerd.
March 8th through 12th.
Thank you. So it's March 8th through 12th. Thanks for having that ready for us. And we're going to do a couple of things. We're starting at 9:30, and we're going to do something we call the Aunties Chat. And we're going to live stream to YouTube. And this is the first time doing this one. We're going to live stream to YouTube. We're going to have a little studio audience. We'll be in the Johnny Five room at the Capitol Factory. So I'll be interested in the comments. Why don't y'all tell us if you know what Johnny Five refers to? we'll see if you're a real nerd or not. And but we'll be there. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take a look at the news, the tech news that's going on, news from South by, things we've seen, things we've heard about while we've been out on the street, so to say. And hopefully, a few of those days we'll have a guest with us. We'll just have a conversation about what's going on. If you join us on YouTube, hopefully, you can get some of your comments read out loud by one of our other partners that's going to be there with us. And it should be great. Are you looking forward to the Aunties chat?
I definitely am. That gives me a chance to go back to Austin
Yay.
and really interact with the audience. I love people, so it'd be great. I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to all the things that will come out of South by Southwest, and more importantly, all the things that we can share with the audience.
Exactly. And then after that, starting at 11, we're going to have a guest every day, and we'll record the podcast and we'll start releasing those in a couple of weeks. But we're going to focus it all around AI. I don't know, Marion, you want to explain what our thought process was for all that?
So there's a lot. So one of the objectives of the podcast really is to address the buzzwords and the hype in the tech community around these emerging technologies. And so right now, everywhere you look, it's AI, 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 anywhere, everywhere. And so we really wanted to take that hot topic and really get some really good insights from the guests and really be able to share what is AI, what is the implications of AI, how is AI being used in the workplace, in your personal lives, and really kind of go deeper there. And so that was really why we chose it. Uh, if you join us in January 5, of course, during that morning chat, we're open to discussing other technologies if there are other emerging technologies you'd also like to discuss there. But that was the reason we chose AI.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be pretty good. So we'd love to see you in person for the live chat. Love to have you join us on YouTube if you're not in Austin. You do need to register if you want to come join us in person at the Capitol Factory House. There's a free option. You don't need to pay, but they do need everybody registered. So do that, and we'll see you in Johnny Five, hopefully. So I think other than that, you can find us still at techaunties.com. You can find us on YouTube at Tech Aunties Podcast, and the same thing, Tech Aunties Podcast on LinkedIn. And we'll have all of those links down below here. So you got anything else to say, Marion?
No, like I said, you said it all.
I don't know about that, but I said enough. All right. So we'll see everybody this coming Friday for the first Tech Aunties chat at the Capitol Factory House at South by Southwest. Until then, we'll check you later.